And we are live, y'all. So, welcome into week 4 of the money resets. Y'all, can y'all believe it's been 4 weeks? So, how are you all feeling about the progress that you've made this far, about the classes we had this far? Let me know in the comments how you are feeling. Let me invite some folks in the room. Let's let the people know we here. Let's let the people know that we are in the room. And if you haven't gotten a chance to download the workbook, we do have the workbook still available to download. I am putting that link in the comments in the chat so you can download the workbook. If you don't have the workbook just yet, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know. Let me know. Let your girl know where you're tuning in from. And we will go ahead and get started because tonight we got a lot to cover. So just a quick recap. So week 1 was all about the money mindset, right? We broke free from scarcity for lack, and we started walking into that kingdom abundance authority. Week 2 was all about the wealth cycle. We learned how to plan our finances, creating that vision, creating goals, and actually creating an actionable plan to achieve those financial goals. And week 3 was all about breaking financial bondage, releasing the debt blueprint, right? Getting rid of the debt, building an emergency fund, building the sinking funds, whether that's for vacations, birthdays, holidays. We jumped in how to make those goals and plan for those as well. So today is going to be all about multiplying your money and have the end in mind. And we're going to say retirement, right? So with retirement in mind, how can we multiply our money and retire and have that in mind? All right, I see you, Huntsville. I see you. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. So, if this is your first time seeing me, I am LaAndrea. I'm your financial freedom hype girl. I am all the things. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm an engineer. I'm a financial literacy, budget and stewardship coach. My husband and I, we've been on this financial journey for over 8 years, learning how money works to achieve financial freedom. And I have been so inspired in this space to share inspiration and to help other millennials and aspiring entrepreneurs to make financial literacy and growth a daily habit. So I developed this 5-week money reset to kind of get rejuvenated and refreshed in some of those goals and get refocused of those financial goals we may have set at the beginning of the year so we can finish this year strong. So going into putting it all together, like I said, we're doing this. We're gonna think with retirement in mind. So the first step here is to create a retirement vision statement. So if we go back to week 2, it's kind of the same framework you're gonna use there. You can watch the replay of how to develop a vision statement and develop a goal. It's the same way here. Develop a retirement vision statement, goal, and then an actionable plan. So you want to think about, where do you want to be in the future? Is 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years down the road? What does that look like to you, right? And what do you want to do in retirement? And sometimes we think about retirement. And I want to tell y'all right now, retirement is not specifically an age. I know, like, the system we live in, right? We think maybe 62, 65, maybe retirement age, right? But I want to give you a new perspective tonight as we go through this presentation, as far as what retirement can actually mean. So when you're doing your vision statement, just think about, what does that time, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, what do you want that to look like for you? Is that travel? You want it to be time of rest? Do you want to be a full-time humanitarian or philanthropy type work? So what does that look like for you? And step 2 is know your financial independence number. So this number right here is kind of, like I said, I want to steer away from thinking about retirement as an age. So when we think about retirement, it's actually like a monetary kind of number. If you are familiar with the FIRE journey, which stands, it's an acronym, FI. RE. So financial independence for retiring early is what it stands for. But it's necessarily not having to retire early. But I like to think of the financial independence number. And this is the amount when invested, it can generate enough returns each year to cover your living expenses indefinitely. So that's your financial number. And we can go on into this slide that we'll talk more about how can we come up with that number and how that number is calculated. So part 3, you want to have 3 pillars of wealth building in place. And the first one is having that kingdom money mindset and stewardship, right? You want to have that positive mindset. We want to think in abundance and not lack. We talked about that in week 1, right? So we are created for abundance, right? Abundance is our birthright. And part 2 is this: is consistent investing. Because one thing with when we're dealing with inflation and cost of living constantly increasing, consistent investing kind of helps offset the value of the dollar loss. So you want to think about consistent investing in your wealth building journey. And then part 3 is sustainable business income. I know entrepreneurship is not for everybody, but one thing that I do teach in my teaching of financial literacy is creating some type of business income to help create a margin in your budget so we can do the things such as invest and pay off debt, and to build scalable and sustainable wealth. Part 4 is automate your future. So once you get the wealth and your budget and all that stuff in place, you're gonna want to learn tools to how to automate your money transfers. This kind of gets stuff off your plate, right? So you want to set up auto transfers to like your retirement accounts and other brokerage accounts, your savings accounts, and even bill pay. You want to automate that as well. It makes things so much easier when there are some type of automation in place. And then the last part of this particular section is teach your children legacy planning. That's one thing is as you are learning wealth building principles, you want to make sure that you're passing this wisdom and knowledge to your kids. So there's various different age appropriate techniques that you can even work with kids young as 2 and even 3, 4 years old, even if it's starting saving money in coins in a piggy bank. It's just to teach them some of these principles and wisdom and habits and values while they are still young. So going into the financial independence number. So first we're going to start off with the rule of 25. So the rule of 25 is it states you save 25 times your annual expenses to retire. So you want to think about 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, what would your expenses look like then? So we're not really talking about right now. So will you have some type of rent payment, mortgage payment, utility costs, whatever that looks like for you, what you think you will have to spend on just living life 10 years, 20 years down the road. So you want to think about what is that annual expense for you? What does that look like for you? And when you get this number, you want to multiply that number by 12. It's 12 months in a year. And that'll give you your annual expenses. And then you want to multiply that number by 25, and that will give you your financial independence number that you would need to comfortably retire on or comfortably move from the 9 to 5 work life, right? So, for example, if your monthly expenses are $6,000 and you multiply that by 12, you'll get an annual expense of $72,000. You multiply that by 25, your financial independence number is $1.8 million. So once you build up the $1.8 million in your investment portfolio, that is a number that you can comfortably leave your quote unquote, we'll say 9 to 5 job, salary pay, or whatever the case may be, to comfortably retire and withdraw money annually without that fund being depleted, right? And so we move to the rule of 4%, the 4% rule. And this is kind of the withdrawal rate when we think about the 4% rule. So it's saying you can withdraw 4% every year. So we're going to take that same 1.8% and it gives you $72,000 for the first year, right? So you were drawing 4%. And if you leave the other money in there, that other money will continue to grow. Of course, then you want to move it to more conservative type investing. You probably won't be all progressive, proactive in your investing. You want to be more conservative in retirement age, but you that just give you the kind of the framework of how much you can withdraw 4%. And then you want to think about inflation. So maybe in the subsequent years, because like right now, and right now it's been pretty consistent that inflation has been about 2% every year. So maybe the next year, the second year, because of inflation, you will need to withdraw a little bit more, so around $73,000. So if you use the rule of 25 and the 4% rule, that will kind of give you some type of guideline to be able to measure how much money you will need in retirement and how much you can withdraw on an annual basis without your money depleting. So it'll continue to grow. Okay, so this next section is basic investing. And here is just basic investing, right? I am not a financial advisor. I am not a financial planner. I don't pretend to be one online. I don't pretend to be one in real life. So this is just for educational purposes only. So I just want to kind of give you some insight of what to look for when you start investing as a beginner investor, right? So this is just some terminology and some resources and tools that can help you to do your own independent research and kind of start making your own start critical being in the critical thinking mode and make your own informed decisions. And also when you are ready to reach out to a financial advisor and financial planner, you will also already have some of this foundational knowledge, so you will know what to go in and look for. So why investing even matters. So you can save, you can't just save your way to retirement, right? You have to grow your money. And that's what investing allows you to do, because inflation eats your savings up. And investing builds long-term wealth that multiplies over time. So this is a long game, right? When you think about investing, you want to think about long term. And the power of compound interest right now, one thing I like to tell people is when you think about investing, you want to think in terms of decades, not days, right? So you want to look at across a 10-year period. So if you look at any historical charts or online, if you just Google investing trends from this decade, from 1990 to 2000, right? Or 2000 to 2010. Or you can do it across a span of 30 years. And so what history has told us, there is typically around 8% increase if you look at it across 10-year or 20-year or 30-year span. So the power of compound interest, this is just an example. If you take $200 of money and you invest it across a 30-year period, at 8%, that will give you over $270,000. And that's just the power of how compound interest work. And the thing about it is, the earlier you start, the more momentum you can build with less effort. So the earlier you start, you don't have to start off with a lot of money. But if you're starting off later, you're gonna have to start with more money. So that's why the earlier you start, the more momentum you can gain in the beginning once you start investing. Okay, so you want to understand the common investment vehicles. So the vehicles, I want you to think about this as like a bus, right? We're gonna think of it as a bus. So, or a car, right? So you think about your retirement accounts, like your 401ks or 403bs, or maybe a self-employed or entrepreneur. And you also want to check for matching. Are there opportunities for your employer to match your contributions? That's one thing you want to research and understand in these retirement accounts from your job. And these accounts are normally pre-tax accounts, so that means that there are no taxes. These are taken out of your check before taxes hit. So you will have to have those taxes be pulled out, or you have to pay taxes on that when you withdraw it at retirement age. So these are pre-tax retirement accounts. So a second vehicle is a Roth IRA, and Roth IRAs are post tax. So that means they grow tax free throughout your time that they're in there. So when you get ready to take it out at age 59, 60, or 62, or whatever the case may be, you will not have to pay taxes on that money from a Roth IRA, because that money has already been taxed, because you put money in from money that you are your net pay. So the Roth IRA is post-tax retirement account. So with these accounts, I want this like it's the vehicle. So before I talk about index fund and ETFs, so this is the vehicle. So the index funds and ETFs are the assets that you have to purchase to put into your car or to your bus. Like you got to put people inside the bus, right? So when you think about your index funds or your ETFs, these are the assets that you put inside your vehicle. So you will get money from your bank account, make a transfer to your retirement account, the Roth IRA. Then there's another transaction that has to happen, because a lot of people think, oh, I put money in my Roth IRA, and then 10 years, it was like, oh, it's the same amount of money in there. No, because you actually have to physically buy assets. So there's another transaction that has to take place. So you have to actually buy the index funds and the ETFs. So index funds are just low cost, diversified accounts. You want to think about things that may track the S&P 500, the top 500 companies in the U.S. So these are great, beginner friendly, because they have low expense ratios, which is the amount that it costs to manage the funds. And so these are really simple and easy things to get started with when you look at index funds and ETFs. So how do you actually get started with these things? You want to use apps like Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab, Moo, and Betterment. I put several options on here, and it's all personal preference. Once you look and see which one has the less amount of fees, right? Whatever fee you're comfortable with paying. And also you want to check too if they have minimum investment amounts. Because I know, like with Vanguard, with ETFs, you can start with a little as $5, but some of the other stocks you have to have a large amount of money to be able to start investing in. So you want to understand if there are any type of minimums that you will have to start investing. So you can start small. You can start with $25. It's better than waiting for a perfect time. Like I'm a Charles Schwab girl, and one thing I do know, I'm talking about Charles Schwab because I am very familiar with them. Even if you want to start small, like I said, start with index funds because they are diversified. You can look into those. But Charles Schwab also have options where you can buy slices of stock. And I'll just say Netflix, for example, right? Right now, Netflix is like $900. So maybe you don't have $900 to buy a full share of Netflix. But what you can do is buy a slice in increments of $5. So maybe you have $20. You can buy a $20 slice of Netflix, right? So that's one great thing about that too, is you don't have to be so committed to buying a full share if you cannot comfortably purchase a full share right now. So index funds are great because you can start small with index funds and ETFs. And then also if these brokerages offers opportunities like slices, you can start investing with a small amount by purchasing slices. So, like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial planner. And I don't pretend to be one. I'm just giving some information so you will know what to look for and what is out there and what's available to you. So that's basic investing 101. So we'll move to the next one. So this one right here, y'all, multiplying your money through business. I get really excited when I talk about entrepreneurship too, because if you were listening in on week two, we were talking about the budget, because we can only decrease our expenses to a certain extent. Like we live in a time where inflation is through the roof, cost of living is so high, and there's only a certain amount of cost that you can cut. So, in, incorporating and adding some type of additional income can help you increase that margin. And when I'm talking about margin, I'm talking about your income minus your day-to-day expenses, right? Is there money left over when you subtract that amount? And that's your margin. And the bigger your margin or your net positive cash flow is, that's the more money that you have to work with to either save, invest, pay off debt. So it's so good to have a bigger margin after you finish paying off your expenses for the month, because you can make some stuff shake, then you can make some real stuff happen. So the types of income producing businesses. One thing I want to tell you before I do get started on this, sometimes we think of the thing about having multiple streams of income, but I see too often so many people go run off and be having all these different businesses, right? And one thing that I have learned is you start with one business and then you add different business models to that one business to add multiple streams of income. So if you think, I'm just going to use a broad example, right? If you think of like a laundromat, you go in and you purchase a laundromat, right? You make money from people using the washers, the dryers to wash and dry their clothes. Then you add a vending machine in that laundromat, right? So even with chips or snacks or drinks or beverages, right? So now you're making money from that. And then think about another vending machine for like um laundry detergent and fabric softener and laundry sheets and dryer sheets, right? That's another stream of income. And then maybe you want to add some type of wash and fold service, right? You wash the clothes and you fold the clothes. So that's another stream of income. And it still falls under what? The laundromat business. So how can we incorporate multiple streams of income in one business? So that's where these types of income producing business can come in. And it can even work if you have a 9 to 5. So you want to think about digital products. Digital products, if you have some type of information that you know or some skill that you can teach or reproduce, you can easily put that information in an ebook, a template, or online course for someone to come and purchase and learn. And you don't even necessarily have a one-to-one conversation. You can use this information to teach one to many. You can set up a course and teach something to 100 people at one time. And then affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is you get paid and recommend products you use. Like I have some products right here, right? So I create short videos. TikTok Shop is my favorite source of affiliate marketing right now, although I have different ones, but I'll just use TikTok Shop for an example. I do short 20-30 second videos showing how I use a particular product. And y'all, these are normally products that I already use. Like I've already purchased them. They already land around my house. I already use them. So I do a video, attach the link to that video, and it's out there. And people, it gets traffic and people purchase the items when they see it. And then you can also put this in your email list. If their favorite products, if you have a newsletter, you can tag affiliate links in newsletters and blogs or whatever the case may be. So the third business model is you think about freelance services. So if you are a graphic designer, if you like writing, if you like doing resumes or virtual assistants such as organizing somebody's social media account or managing someone's social media or managing someone's email. That's what virtual assistance is, or some type of consultant business. And then you can use sites and platforms like Fiverr, where people are already on there looking for certain services. You can just create a profile and just let people know what you do, or even on LinkedIn, right? And people can come and look on those sites for services they need, and they can hire you in that manner. And then even content creation. If you like to be on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok or YouTube, you can monetize those platforms. And even with brand deals, with UGC is quite popular, which is user generated content, is quite popular right now. And that is basically just influencers creating these short commercials And these brands are finding these people online on their social media accounts, and they're sending them emails and DMs like, "Hey, how can I work with you? I love your content," right? And then they will pay these particular influencers money to utilize their content. And then also print on demand or drop shipping. So drop shipping is one of the things, I haven't dabbled in this one too much, but drop shipping is just if you are the type of person that likes to catch deals on certain items, you can purchase those items and have them shipped to like Amazon warehouses or whatever the case may be, and then you can attach a link to your e-commerce store and advertise these items, and these warehouses will ship the product to your customer. So you're not dealing with any type of inventory or whatever the case may be. So it's you are just like the middleman between the warehouse and the customer. And print on demand is kind of popular too, where if you have any popular slogans or sayings, or if you are a graphic designer and have any particular graphics, you can use services like Printify and upload your art on these sites, and they will make a shirt, mug, notebook, whatever the case may be, and put your graphic on it. And you can use those links in your e-commerce store, and your customers will purchase it from them, and Printify will make the product and ship it to the customer, and you receive a kickback from it. So I'm gonna give you another example of how you can implement these different business models in one business. So say for instance, if you may be in, and we'll say real estate, I was gonna say catering, but we're gonna say real estate. If you're in real estate and maybe your clientele or your target audience, whether it's a new home buyer, we'll say new home buyer, you can create digital products of how to get approved for loans, right? How to purchase a house for the first time. And you can put all this stuff in some type of ebook and market that. And then also as a realtor, you can use affiliate marketing in a way for referrals, like for furniture, for artwork in the home, or even an Amazon marketplace link, right? Because new homeowners, they're looking to furnish their house and decorate their house. And how you can use print on demand too. You can use that, like you can create some type of graphic like home sweet home and put it on a pillow, and you can sell that particular pillow, and you don't have to make the pillow or print the pillow. You just send the person to that site to purchase the pillow with your design on it, and they will ship it to them, and then you just get a kickback of how much they on a portion of that pillow. So you can add these different business models in a business that you already have. So it's not like you're going off and creating another particular business. It's just you creating another income stream within your own business. So a practical tip here, you want to pick ideas that align with your passion, because we don't want you to get burnt out, right? So we want to be aligned with something that you love to do, that meets your lifestyle, as well as having a demand in the marketplace for it, right? So we don't want you to be out here just doing something just to be doing it. We want it to, your soul need to be lit up, lit up while you're doing it. You want to set a weekly time goal. Like if you want to work 5 hours a week on your business, is this 1 hour a day? Is this 2.5 hours on Saturday, 2.5 hours on Sunday? Maybe it's 10 hours a week. To avoid and prevent burnout, you just want to go ahead and schedule the amount of time you are going to work on your business. And then you want to reinvest your profits into savings. So first, you want to have a savings account. You want to save for taxes. I will tell you that because Uncle Sam gonna want his, regardless of the fact. Uncle Sam is gonna want his money. So you want to have a business savings account so you can reinvest, so you can save some of your profits in savings. And then you want to be able to also pay yourself, right? Because you don't want to have a business and not pay yourself. So you want to be able to pay yourself. And then also you want to think about your future. So you want to use some of this money to save, invest, and even pay off debt, right? So that's how we multiply our money through business. So I'm gonna pause here. If there are any questions, you can type them in the chat, or just let me know. Is this stuff resonating with you? Is this informative? Just let me know. Let me know. I know I've been going through this really, really fast. I was trying to get out through all this information, but usually, like this multiply money portion is, some people get so want to go, so headstrong in this area. But like the week 1, 2, and 3, we've been building up to this. One started with money mindset. We talked about budgeting, and then now we're talking about how to create more margin in our budget so we can pay off, do those financial goals, pay off debt, save, invest, or whatever the case may be. So let me know what you're thinking. Oh, thanks, Roberts. I'm glad it has been informative. So, y'all, this really wraps up tonight. We talked about some basic investing 101, and we talked about multiplying our money through business ventures and how to incorporate different business models in our businesses. Because like I said, we sometimes we get so caught up in these multiple streams of income, and we doing all these different businesses, and it's really meant to kind of start with one business, right? And add different business models to the businesses that we're doing so we can stay aligned with our passions and our purpose. So, y'all, that wraps up tonight. And we got one more week left. One more week left. Next week is week 5. We will be talking about some strategies to kind of start thinking about future stuff in protecting our wealth and also transferring wealth. Because we're not doing all this for nothing, right? We're building legacies. We're building legacy. So we're not doing this for nothing. So we need to focus in and key in when we are learning wealth and building wealth. We need to know how to transfer wealth. That's tax savvy. That's one thing you have to understand. These tax strategies, it's crazy. The tax code and the tax policies and all the things that are involved in wealth. So, y'all, oh, thanks, bro. Yeah, we do. We definitely do. So thanks, y'all. That ends tonight. Y'all have a good rest of you all's night. See you again next week, same time, same place, Monday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Y'all have a good night. Bye.